Hey folks, it's Sam, and I'm making this recording to invite you to a special class on January 12th at 11 a.m. Pacific time on evolving your planetary karma in 2025, but it's actually just a general but deep dive into the evolutionary processes of each of the planets. This is my gift, my thank you gift for everyone for watching my videos and over all the years. I am going to talk about this concept of evolving our karma through the planets. The evolutionary process of the planets is a fundamental aspect of what I've been teaching for more than 20 years, actually. In my first book, even in my book on the Ascendant, 108 Planets of Vedic Astrology, I talked about it, but especially in my last book, Yoga and Vedic Astrology, 108 Planets, or I'm sorry, Yoga and Vedic Astrology, I formalized that notion. And again, in my certification courses, I talk about this. And this is a free class. You can just register, but you have to register for it. It's a free class. And you see the outline here. This is what I'm going to go over. I'm going to talk about what is the planetary karma in Vedic astrology, the planets as karmic agents, of what is karma and how do the planets activate this sort of cause and effect, which is a general way to explain karma, but I'm going to go into it in more depth. The role of planetary dignity, strength, and aspects will be sort of looked at. And then the overview of how the planets show our karma. But for the most part, then I'm going to dive deep into each planet and their role in evolving our consciousness. The planets are the specific agents of consciousness in this lifetime. One of the things that I noticed as soon as I started learning Vedic astrology, I came from a yoga background where I had been doing meditation for about 20 years before I ever even started doing Vedic astrology. And I was coming from a very integrated life approach. I say integrated in the sense of a non-dualistic, we're all one, everything is oneness, not fragmented, disparate, forces. And that everything is on an evolutionary curve, an evolutionary arc. Everything is. And again, even when you study yoga, that's a concept. But somehow, when I started studying astrology, that seemed to go out the window. Suddenly, everything wasn't evolving, and there wasn't this evolutionary process. There were these good and bad planets, and everything got very attached. There was too much attachment, and I didn't hear the evolution and the evolutionary process and beauty in the Vedic astrology when I started studying it. Again, because I had come from about 20 years of not studying meditation, but practicing it and feeling that holistic connection to consciousness, that's what's behind it all. So what does astrology have to do with it? What are the planets? What's going on here? So actually, it wasn't until I started visiting and spending time with my guru, my Sadguru Amma, sitting in front of this divine emanation, that I would see, all of these planetary forces, the grahas, what I was understanding as the planetary energies, they were all absorbed in her consciousness. Not just hers, ours, yours. That this is the point of where karma and the planets bring us into this matrix of body, mind, and we can see our specific evolutionary challenges as it relates to each planet first. But then also the planets rule the signs, and then the signs become houses. That's when astrology starts to become obviously more of a science when you start to break it down. But the first things to understand about yourself is that you are a composite, an arrangement of karmic energy, and the specifics of it come from the planets. It's not some abstraction, right? In Western astrology, astrology itself is seen as some archetypal relationship to the as above, so below, and then by the time you hear it, it's hard to know what's being explained. Many Western astrologers don't even believe in reincarnation and things like that. Oh, I don't get into all that. Again, this isn't a complicated or a challenging subject, a sort of risky subject in Vedic and Eastern dharmic thinking. The soul is not the karma. The karma is the soul incarnating to rediscover the true nature. And there's a process of evolution that is very specific channels of evolution. There's the sun channel, very specific karma of leadership and purpose. The moon channel, emotional karma, nurturing. Mars channel, the karma of desire and action and focus. Intellectual karma and communication of Mercury. Jupiter, wisdom and spiritual karma, etc., etc. Karma of relationship and pleasure. The karma of responsibility, discipline, and the unfinished karma and liberation. These are a few ideas and concepts that I'm going to go over. Again, it's a free class. Go register for this, right? And I'm doing these things because here in 2025, I'm in transition myself. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be teaching major courses and things like that, but I am, sharing some things here. And I did a gathering like this a couple weeks ago for the new year, and I'm going to be doing some of these as well. But this is a great chance to dive in to the evolutionary process, and you can see the evolutionary processes of each planet. This is actually from my book, Yoga and Vedic Astrology. The sun, physical power and fitness, tamas, to worldly power as father through career, rajas, inspired God, truth seeker, sattva is the evolutionary process of the sun. Then we'll also go over the seed principle of the sun. So we're going to do this for each of the planets, so you'll understand how this energy specifically is evolving in you. And I'm sure this will really help you. Doesn't matter if you've studied with other people or whatever, Western astrology, Vedic astrology, these are universal principles. So I invite you to go ahead and register for that and then show up. There's not going to be replays and all of this. I mean, there might be a replay. The last one I did a replay on it, but I want people to show up. I want it to be a real event. Everything now is so dispersed, and people, they, try to set aside the time. There'll probably be a replay. So even if you can't show up, I will have a limited replay. I'll just say that. I hadn't thought of it, but I'll have a limited replay like I did on the last one, but you have to register for it. And again, it's a good thing to register for, and we'll dive into that, and it's going to be very helpful in 2025 as we have some heavy, intense, quote, karma coming up. We always have intense karma, but it's important to understand your connection and how the bad stuff and everything in the world that we get so attached to is actually just an opportunity for you to evolve. But it's not just evolve somehow. This is the problem, is it's very easy to believe, oh yes, I believe we're all evolving. Okay, but that's not getting you anywhere. What's evolving? Specifically, what's the evolution of the sun and your connection to the power, and the moon, your connection to the heart, Mars, your connection to focus, Mercury, figuring all it out, understanding things. These are all different superpowers that are trying to evolve through you. And it's important for you to understand what those things are. So that's what I'm doing, and I hope to see you Sunday.